Spotlight to the Argenta Oriana School District on Tuesday, January 24th from 9 till 10. This WHOW School Spotlight stop is brought to you by William McGee Farms, located at 440 White Pigeon Road in Marora, at WilliamMcGeeFarms.com for more info. ServPro of Piatt DeWitt Counties is proud to be the exclusive sponsor of the WHOW Clinton Maroon Player of the Game, announced at the end of every Maroon sports broadcast. Our WHOW announcing staff will select that night's WHOW ServPro of Piatt DeWitt Counties Clinton Maroon Player of the Game, whose play will be highlighted in each WHOW Maroon postgame broadcast, and that player receives a certificate. Remember ServPro of Piatt DeWitt Counties, the leader in cleaning, restoration, and construction. Find out their services by clicking their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest on the phone today is Mr. Jay Pratte. He is the executive director of the Miller Park Zoo in Bloomington. Jay, welcome back. How are you, sir?
I'm doing okay. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for making time for us. We appreciate it very much. And starting out this morning, Jay, we saw in the news, I'm sure folks noticed this over the last week or so, a lemur that was in basically in domestic care, in a domestic situation, was apprehended by DNR authorities, local authorities, and I believe you have this lemur now in your care. Talk about the situation. What's going on here for folks that may not know all the ins and outs?
I'm laughing because like when I watch a lot of Law and Order SVU, and that's a completely different domestic that I think people respond to and apprehend on. So this was an interesting situation for us at the zoo. And we actually, it was something that had been posted on a local group in the morning that this lemur had appeared in someone's garage, and it got so much attention that it was taken down really quickly. But the family whose home it showed up in, they had some input, some veterinarians and some other folks in the area. They reached out to the Illinois Conservation Police, so DNR, and they reached out to us for assistance. So that afternoon we scheduled a time. We went, and it was actually myself and one of our experienced primate keepers, Rose, and we met the officer at the scene. And sure enough, there was a ring-tailed lemur, male, and he was stuck down and hunkered down in their garage. They had had their door open the day before while they were doing some work, and it had been out wandering, and apparently my guess is because of the temperatures, it was below freezing at that point. It went into the first warm place, and they happened to hear it, and they happened to find it. So they made the call. We were able to, with protective gear, just to make sure, Rose and I were able to safely and quickly recover the lemur. We crated him up. We worked with the family, talked to DNR, and then we brought him back to the zoo. The daughter named him King Julian. I was a little stymied. I'd never seen the Madagascar movies. And then when I was told, I'm like, okay, I got it. I like to move it. And so he's here. He is in a quarantine situation because we don't know his history. And we would do that for any animal we brought in anyways. And he's under observation. The vets took a look at him yesterday. The keepers are giving him expert professional care, and he's doing really well. We posted about this the day that it happened, and it blew up on our Facebook. I have never seen so much positive attention and support of the zoo, so many likes, so many comments. So we're really thankful to the community through all this. Now,
is it your, and I don't know how much you want to speculate, Jay, or anything like that. Is it your speculation that this lemur was in care of an individual and somehow got out, and so, like you said, found, because of all the weather, found the first warm spot it could get to, and so that's where it hunkered down at? Like, do you mind giving us your thoughts on what you think happened there?
Are you coming for my job? Because I honestly, like, you're kind of dead on with what my speculation is. With the weather, and I mean with this type of species, like, he didn't go far. So I suspect that it was somebody's pet. It is currently illegal to own a lemur along with several other exotic or dangerous species in the state of Illinois unless the individual, the specific animal, was registered by the owners prior to 2011. It is my speculation and suspicion, I can't prove this, of course, but that this animal was living as somebody's pet in the area. It did get out or escape somehow. And the fact that, especially with this much attention as to, where it is and which animal it is, my belief is that if it had been owned legally, that those folks would have stepped up and been able to say, hey, we have all the paperwork, we've done this correctly and stuff. We would really like to have, our animal back. That has not happened. DNR has been investigating since last Thursday. They have not had any leads. Nobody has reached out to help us out, figure out where it might come from. I mean, nobody's getting arrested over this, but it is really helpful because we do need to try and track down, because of the overarching conservation and wildlife trade issues, we need to know where these animals are bred, what's happening, where these little arteries of, trafficking and transport are. But for this little guy, we don't know anything about his background. We don't know anything about his health. We don't know if he's had vaccinations. We don't know about his care. So that could really extend out like a quarantine period and alter how we treat him because we don't have a lot of information about him. So it would be great if we could learn more. And again, I am speculating, but I suspect that that's probably a fair version of what's gone down.
Yeah, well, and, being owned illegally, perhaps you're probably not going to, hear from whoever the individual or individuals was that had this animal because perhaps there's more nefarious activities they're involved in. I'm sure that's not uncommon for authorities to encounter when they encounter these situations.
I can't disagree with you. Was I expecting to go and rescue a lemur out of a garage last Thursday? I was not.
Yeah.
Was I surprised at this situation? Unfortunately, I was also not.
Yeah.
Even in the Midwest, this is not the first ringtail lemur, rescue and confiscation that I've been involved with. There have been other primates as well, and other animals like cats people shouldn't have, like reptiles that are illegal. But it's unfortunate that it's gotten to the point. Which is why we work so closely with AZA, and we're really trying to let people know why they don't make good pets and we can talk a little bit if you'd like about what this animal's experience has been and why this is important. But we have to try and figure out what's actually happening here. We're trying to address this. We're trying to close it down, the illegal trafficking of animals. It's huge business, but it's really got a toll. And it also sends the wrong message to people. It tells people that, a ring-tailed lemur can make a good pet, and it really can't. It really doesn't.
Yeah. So let's speak to some of those things you just brought up there. Again, our guest on the phone today is Mr. Jay Pratte. He is the executive director of the Miller Park Zoo in Bloomington. So you spoke to what this animal has experienced since he came into your care. What has he had to go through? By the way, do you have an age? Do you have an estimated age on him? But
we're working on that. He is a mature, and by mature I mean fully developed male. He does not appear overly old. He is probably on the younger side. We have not been particularly invasive with him. We could look at teeth. We could do some things that would help us pinpoint a little more. We are waiting for guidance under DNR. I have reached out to them to ask, how much information they'd like and what we would like to do, because we don't want to do anything that's going to cause him further distress or put him at risk. We have done some basic things we can do. We've done some fecal exams. He did have some higher parasite loads. Our vets peeked in at him yesterday when they were on grounds because, again, he's in quarantine and they think he looks a little on the thin side. It's hard to tell when we're just kind of observing him. But we've set him up with a couple of great, little enclosures. He can go back and forth. He's got branches to climb on. He's got bedding to root through. The keepers are enriching him and visiting him multiple times a day and training him. But when I was referencing what he's been through, it's his life. So when we all went through the pandemic and we watched the Tiger King, everybody was like, oh yeah, tigers and tiger cub petting. Well, now we've seen the Big Cat Safety Act pass. USDA made it illegal to, pull cubs too early from their moms and declaw them. But that's what this little guy suffered. When you see an animal like this lemur as a pet, he was prematurely separated. He was removed too early from his mom. He should have been with his mom and a sibling or within a large troop. These guys live in groups of up to 50 or more. So this little guy should have been raised as a lemur, raised by his mom to be a lemur, taught how to groom, how to interact. And his little brain, these aren't domestic animals. He's still a lemur. He needs to and wants to do all of these things, but he doesn't know how. And living in someone's home or in a cage or a garage or wherever he was, he wouldn't have had those opportunities. And so there's a measure of psychological distress that we really monitor our animals for. And that's why in reputable zoos and aquariums and sanctuaries, we spend so much time thinking about psychological and social welfare. We make exhibits more complex. We're always providing them enrichment and training and opportunities so they can engage in those behaviors that's normal for them. So that's what we're working on. So there was a great little video we posted on Facebook yesterday. He got to go rooting through and foraging for his food through things. He had the opportunity to scent mark on a whole bunch of branches. He can now use those little scent glands and, mark his whole territory like he's probably never been allowed to do before. So now he's doing all these lemur things, and he seems to be, really having a good time of it, staying active and staying busy.
Yeah.
So it makes me sad that he hasn't had that experience up until now, because again, it requires expert care. He should be in a group living environment with other lemurs. All these things he's missed out on are what, if he ends up being rehomed as a confiscation, we are going to do our best to find for him.
Yeah, well, and that's the sad part about it is he hasn't been able to tap into his natural instincts, which is I think, Jay, speaks to the importance of zoos. A lot of people probably they don't like zoos because of the captivity aspect and those sorts of things, but accredited zoos like you're talking about with the Miller Park Zoo and dozens and hundreds across the country, part of what you do with these animals in captivity is make sure that there are enrichment opportunities, that their instincts and the things that they know as animals are not taken away, and they can continue to have those opportunities, I guess, if you will.
Yep. No, and you're dead on. If you look at the history of how zoos have changed over time, a lot of it is we want to just do better in general. But we went from cages and the old style stuff like we had at the Katofer building to putting in rockwork and branches to making them more natural to now our new South American exhibits. They're going to be open. There's going to be waterways, places they can dig, places they can climb. It's really designing these environments to encourage these animals to be able to express their natural behaviors. And it's a science that I think is a lot of times unrecognized and underappreciated about the zoos and the sanctuaries that are reputable and accredited, that spend a lot of time and dedication to do this. Our keepers spend hours every day redoing exhibits, not just cleaning, not just feeding, but thinking about that social and mental well-being, physical well-being, giving them opportunities to climb, dig, forage, chew, groom, all these different things that they would normally do. And it's different for every species. So now they're experts and they're researching what's the natural history. What would this animal do under less constrained circumstances while not under human care? And how can we emulate and provide those opportunities here? Yeah. There's so much involved that, I appreciate, the recognition that you've seen that.
Well, and Jay, just as we wrap up the conversation here for this morning, you talked about just the idea of the animal trade and those sorts of things. And I know I told you off the air, the gentleman I do ball games with on our sister station in Monticello, he's a retired DNR officer, and he was in an undercover law enforcement official that dealt with the animal trade and those sorts of things. And the stories he has are incredible. But it's a very deep, dark world of these animals being, moved and traded and in environments that are really not at all conducive for how they should be. It's a sad state of affairs in a lot of circumstances.
Well, and a lot of the tragedy is even before they get here and they're in these circumstances where they can't be themselves. For those ones that are trafficked, for those ones that are illegally transported or moved, ones that are poached from the wild for the pet trade, most of them never survive. If anybody truly wants to educate themselves, they just need to start Googling, exotic pet trade, illegal trafficking, go to AZA, the website, they've got information there. When they do a seizure and these animals are transported and smuggled in terrible ways, it's 80 to 90% of them end up sick or dead just from the process. So the suffering and like the trauma that's involved is something like we really want to deal with. Not only is this impacting conservation and wild populations, but these individual animals are suffering, and it's something that we can prevent and that I'm really working hard to work on.
Sure. Well, I'll tell you what, Jay, any final thoughts on this before we go to break this morning?
No. We'll keep everybody posted. They can watch our Facebook page and the city's pages and stuff to see how Mr. King Julian is doing, and we'll keep everybody posted on his story.
That is Jay Pratte. He is the executive director of the Miller Park Zoo in Bloomington. Our guest on the phone. More to come on the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW.
Well, the flu season is here again, and our Warner Hospital and Health Services walk-in clinic inside our family medicine clinic is ready to treat you. CEO Paul Scowen here, reminding you when you suffer from all those symptoms that are caused by flu-like fever, headache, congestion, and that blah feeling. Come to us. No appointment, no problem at the Warner Hospital walk-in clinic. Get here and get feeling better. Just another way we provide quality care close to home.
WHOW, the Big 1520 across central Illinois, 92.3 FM in DeWitt County, and 106.5 FM in McLean County is coming to the Argenta Oriana School District. It's the WHOW School Spotlight, broadcasting live from the Argenta Oriana District Office on Tuesday, January 24th from 9 till 10 in the morning. Listen as we visit with the superintendent and administration, talking about the great things they're doing for students when we bring the WHOW School Spotlight to the Argenta Oriana School District on Tuesday, January 24th from 9 till 10. This WHOW School Spotlight stop is brought to you by Oliver Whitney Woodworking, located at 417 North Kenwood Street in Marora. Visit their website at oliverwhitneyinc.com. And Screen This with screen printing and embroidery, located at 285 North Kenwood Street in Argenta.
With industry-leading premiums, several delivery windows, and zero basis contracts, your opportunity to profit with Benson Hill high-protein, non-GMO soybeans has never been better. Some Benson Hill soybean varieties are higher in protein right out of the ground, contributing to more sustainable food manufacturing. The majority of farmers in our program earn more per acre planting Benson Hill soybeans than commodity beans. Lock in your best premium on 2023 contracts while acres are still available. Visit BensonHillFarmers.com to earn more.
Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Jay Pratte is the executive director of the Miller Park Zoo in Bloomington, my guest on the phone. And Jay, you were telling me here a little bit as we prepared for our interview today, you were kind of sent scrambling a little bit as these cold temperatures rolled in right before the Christmas holiday. Some things you had to adjust to. Talk to me about what happened there.
Well, I know everybody here is, ready and used to winter and stuff, but I'm Canadian. My first job was outside in northern Alberta, and I will tell you, over that Christmas weekend, I felt like I was way back home 20-something years ago, because that was some minus 36 to minus 40 cold realness there. And we knew it was coming. We've been watching the temperature. We always do that for the animals, because there's like cutoffs where we know animals need to be locked in, or if there's risk of wind or whatever. But that took us, I think, by surprise, because systems that had been working well under, we'll call it regular winters, and you can't see my air quotes, but we're all of a sudden significantly overtaxed. Like, we were able to get through it. We had no losses of life, which I was actually really concerned about with some of our animals with those sudden frigid drops. Everybody made it through. Like, we kept in touch with our vets and that. But we were here. I was here super late the one night. We were putting extra bedding out. We were battening down the hatches. We were putting up extra doors. We were sealing buildings with plastic. Everything we could do to really block out that wind and try to keep the animals as comfortable and as safe as we possibly could. And that went on for, that was several days. A couple of our heaters had some struggles. We lost a water heater as a result when some lines burst.
Oh, wow.
But, we came through it all. We've had people coming in and helping us, like with all the repairs, but not only repairs, updates. Now we're actually able to improve some of these as a result and see where Like, oh yeah, by the way, that heater has been around for 20 something years. Guess what? Time for a new one.
Yeah, for sure. So unfortunate that events like that bring those issues to light, but at least you're able to address them now.
Yeah. And, again, I'm still relatively new here, and the team and I are getting to know each other. And it was, oh God, what day, whatever the day that it really super hit so badly was, I think it was that Friday.
Yeah, like the 23rd or something.
It was an official city holiday. And I was here, we were going to try and have a litsee if we could get the staff home to, families and that. And it ended up being, me and 6 or 7 keepers here. And we were here for like 11 or 12 hours in those conditions, trying to figure things out. Our facilities worker popped in and he tried to help us out with one of the heaters that had failed. We were keeping animals warm. We were out in the wind, like making sure nothing was outside. Like this team, they work outside. They will do hard work under all conditions. I have never been so proud of them. They did such a great job and pulled together. And I think it brought us all closer together to be able to be out there and help them with that. But just to see that dedication to make sure that every animal was cared for, even though, it put them out in the cold, it put them at risk. They're really hardworking people. They were really heroes that weekend.
For sure. Well, Jay, in that time, how else has the winter treated you and the folks at the Miller Park Zoo? Animals doing okay? How about just the winter in general to this point, other than that bit of a brief period there?
I think we're doing okay otherwise. Everybody came out for the holiday events, the light events. We had great turnout. It was really fun to see everybody out for that. We still have our regular visitors every day. Obviously, the numbers are a little lower with these temperatures, but people are still coming out. And boy, that temperature pops up over 50 or 60 one day, and this place fills up. So I've been really happy with, the community support and feedback, even through like these colder times, because we don't have a lot of indoor viewing, for folks yet. So there's some dedicated people that keep on coming out, and we are so happy to see them.
How's attendance doing this winter, Jay? Have you been able to track that much?
I don't have the numbers on me right now. We do track those every month. I make monthly reports, down to the city. I know that we are right kind of on par with where we were hoping to be with projected budgets and stuff this year, but I don't have the exact numbers right now.
That's fine. That's good. And we've seen a couple warm days here and there, so I'm sure folks have turned out for those. Jay, I got to let you go, my good man. How do folks follow along with all things Miller Park Zoo?
City website, Zoo Society Facebook page and website, and as always, Facebook and Instagram for the Miller Park Zoo. You will find us there, and right now, all things King Julius.
Very good. Jay, it's always good to speak with you, my friend. Thanks for making time for us.
You bet, Seth. Anytime.
Jay Pratte is the executive director of the Miller Park Zoo in Bloomington. My guest on the phone. Network news on the way. The morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin insurance agent in Clinton.